Your optical illusion is going to start by tracing a circle or two or three at the very most. If you do one big circle, that's probably all you're going to fit on. But if you do a couple smaller ones, you could repeat the same size or use a couple different sizes. So with my pencil, I'm going to draw the circle or trace the circle. It does not have to be in the middle of your paper. You can kind of arrange the circles how you'd like. From there, I am going to create my checkerboard pattern in the background of my circle or circles. So I line my ruler up with the side of my paper, super straight, and I am drawing a line on the other side, but I'm not going through any of the circles. As I move my ruler down the paper, I'm making sure that it touches the line I just made, and then I'm going to draw the next line. So as long as you are touching that line you just made, all of your rows are going to be the same width. They're going to be as wide as your ruler. You're pretty much just tracing your ruler shape. Being careful not to go through that circle at all. Inside the circle, because it's a round form, our lines are actually going to curve. So I would repeat this all the way down my paper. When I get to the opposite side, I'm going to turn my ruler the other way. So it's going to go horizontal, lining it up at the top of my paper, and I'm going to trace my ruler this direction. So I did not finish this, but you can see how if I keep repeating it, I'm going to end up with a really nice checkerboard pattern in that background. The circle, like I said, is a round form, so our lines are not going to be made with a ruler. Pretend I went all the way down my paper. Inside that circle, our lines are probably going to curve. If you want to start in the middle with a fairly straight line, you could. And then as you go to this side, your lines would curve around to show that that form is circular. Same way the other way. I would start with maybe a line in the middle. And then you can spread these out. You could have really big checkerboard inside your circles, or if you add more lines, you're going to have a smaller checkerboard pattern. So they're kind of curving that way, and on the bottom, they're going to curve the opposite direction. You want the pattern inside the circle to look different than the pattern outside the circle. When you're done with pencil, you are outlining the entire thing with a black Sharpie marker. I am making sure that I have a messy mat under my paper so I keep my table clean. Some kids prefer to use their ruler when they outline. That's a choice if you'd rather keep your lines as straight as possible. You are even outlining the circle, so take your time on this part, doing really nice, neat work. At the end of Sharpie, I would use one of those big erasers and erase any pencil lines you missed. Before you do any coloring, start with a code. I am putting a little mark with my pencil on every other square shape. When I get to my second row, it's not a row. I have to go opposite. So if I'm coloring this in a color, this is going to be a different color or white. I'd go opposite. Oh, I wouldn't go here because there's going to be a color up there. I'm going to go opposite. As I work my way down, color, no color, color, no color, color. I'm doing the whole thing, even inside the circle shape. Every other. Second row is opposite. If you know you're going to color with yellow or orange, make these marks super light, or your marker is not going to cover them up. Once you're done with the pencil markings, that's when you're going to start to color. Darker colors will cover up these marks. So if you want a lighter color, just make sure that that mark is not super dark. I am coloring nice and dark, overlapping my colors, filling that shape as best as I can. Oftentimes when I'm coloring a little area, I might create what I call a color fence. Just kind of outline it, and then I can fill it in a little bit quicker. Your job today with one color is to color those little marks you made. You are only using one color to start. If you finish your checkerboard pattern with your one color and you have time and you would like, you can fill in those white squares that are left with one other color. A checkerboard pattern is only going to work with 2 colors, not more. So my checkerboard is this turquoise and white. If I feel like it at the end, it could be turquoise and yellow or turquoise and pink. But I'm only doing 1 color because I never know. I might run out of time. The last step is the optical illusion step. That's really important. With an oil crayon, I am going to lightly, barely touching the paper, add a black line outside my circle that I am going to smear out to create a shadow. This is what's going to make it look like the circles are kind of hovering over the background. Gives it that 3D look. This is the game changer, the wow effect. So you can decide how thick that line is. I brought it out a little bit further there to create a bigger shadow. When you're finished, these are going to go on the store counter.